We are getting deep into the nitty gritty right now, okay? I am about to tell you probably our biggest issue my sister and I had working at Mackinac State Historic Parks, and that is the meeting we had with the so-called HR director, Mr. Big Bad Wolf himself. Before we had that meeting with him, there was a staff meeting with the GSR team. I believe it was a Friday morning, fresh on the dot at 8 a.m. The details of that meeting, honestly, it's not important to this story. But what is important to note is that my sister and I, we mostly sat and we just listened. They asked a question about knowing where the fire extinguishers were in the store that we worked, and my sister answered and she told them. Remember that. So at the end of the meeting, they asked any of us if we had anything we wanted to say, any questions, whatever. Majority of us said no, we had nothing to say, and whoever did have something to say, they said whatever. Later on during the day, now, Puss came over to my sister and I and said the big bad wolf wanted to meet with us. I feel like I've been mentioning her name so often, but this is just to show you all how involved she was with us working there. And that is also an important factor. I don't know what it was, but I just had a feeling that there was something wrong. So my sister actually said to her, "Oh, is, the other J1 girl going to be there?" Because we had no idea what the meeting was about. And she laughed. She was very chill, casual. And she was like, "No, it's just you two. You just want to discuss some things." I have to start reading again because I don't want to miss any detail for this part right here. Funny enough, before we got into that meeting, my sister made a joke and she said, "Girl, what if them a go fire we?" So I laughed and I said, "Well, I don't see what reason they would have to fire us. But honestly, if they do, we already went into this knowing that work and travel is a hit or a miss." We went into the boardroom with the big bad wolf. We took a seat across from him. Immediately, I could see that he was tense and angry. In a very accusatory tone, he asked us to tell him what is going on. So my sister and I were looking at each other, confused. We're saying that's what we would like to know. What is happening? Why are we here? He's going to tell us, ask us once again, what is our issue because our coworkers aren't happy working with us. You can hear in his tone, like I said, he's angry. So he's asking me what's wrong with me and why am I not perky with my coworkers? I don't speak to them and I'm not perky with the customers. So at that point, I'm like, hold on. Like, where are you getting this information from? Because my customer service is great and I've never shown any customer anything less than that. And I do speak to my coworkers. So I was confused, like, where's all of this coming from? So I actually kept saying that in the meeting. Would you believe that this man says out of his mouth verbatim, he says, "Well, unconfuse yourself." I'm genuinely confused and I'm not understanding what is happening right now. So next he started speaking about us being late, saying, "Why are we showing up to work late every day?" So we're like, "What? We don't show up late to work?" And he said, "Oh, so you've never been late before?" So I said, "Yes." Once again, I'm taking responsibility. I said, "Yes, when we first got here, we were late a few of the times, but Puss spoke to us." I hope you all remember that conversation. She spoke to us, and ever since then, we have not been late. I said, "You can even ask them. You guys, these women would come to us all the time. 'Oh, wow, you're doing such a good job. Like, you're great at this.'" Just unprovoked. We don't ask them anything. They will literally just say it to us. So that is why we are confused. Only to find out the meeting was being held because Puss and Remy, or I should say Remy and Puss in that order, called him and told him all of these things and told him to speak to us. So, you can't blame us for being confused because once again, you all, we saw these women that morning. It was a whole staff meeting. No one said anything. No one had anything to say, saying they had any issues with us. Puss was actually with us that day and she still did not say anything. So you can imagine our surprise when we are in this meeting and being bombarded by accusations, lies, because why are you saying I don't speak with my co-workers and all of these things when that is a lie? So of course this conversation was recorded because I did not like how this man was speaking to us. I did not like his tone. I found it very odd because for someone of his position, I would assume he would know how to handle a situation like this, and there was no reason for him to speak to us in such a disgraceful manner. So I recorded that conversation, and not only that, but also for my protection. I do not like angry men, and I don't like when you speak to women a certain way, because as a man, I believe if you do that, the next thing you can do is also hit a woman. And I'm obviously not saying he was going to do that to us, but I put it past no man, so I had to record that conversation. He started going on about what happened to this morning. We just sat in a meeting and we said nothing. Mind you all, I told you my sister actually answered a question that they asked us, right? And it was not a speaky type of meeting. They had their notes, their jottings of things they wanted to discuss. They said it to us. And as I said, they opened the floor, and if anybody had anything to say, they said it. What more do you want of me? What more do you want of me? It just was not making sense. So once again, that was a lie, because why would you tell the man that we didn't communicate in the meeting when in fact we did? My sister answered a question, and me saying I have nothing to say, that is communication, because I honestly did not have anything to say. But obviously you all had something to say, because that is what the big bad wolf is saying to me right now. You know what he's going to say to me? He says, since you are not the one writing the checks, you should be asking me, what do I need to improve on? So I said, that is what I am trying to do. That's what I've been doing since I sat here. I am asking you, what is the issue? We don't understand. We are confused. He said, oh, that's not what you're saying. Da 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 da. He's going off. He's saying, oh, but you guys are denying everything that I'm saying. Well, yes, I am going to deny lies because they are not true. Then he is going to have the audacity to say, oh, we changed our schedule so that we could work a second job. So instantly, we started picking up where this conversation was going. And at this point, it was given discrimination. I am not going to lie. It was given discrimination. If you guys remember at the start of this video, before we touched ground at the apartment, before we even worked, Puss said out of her own mouth, we can get a second job. They have no issues. They understand what it's like for J1s. They will work with us on the schedules and everything. She said that to us before we even thought about getting a second job. So once again, confusion comes in, because you are the one, as in the organization, you guys are the ones that told us we could do this and you would work with us. But no, you're bringing it up as if it's a problem, as if it's something that you don't agree with. Truly, it was so disheartening to sit across the room from this man. At that point, my sister is saying, listen, you need to call Remy and Post. They need to be present at this meeting, because they are telling us one thing and they're telling you something different, and nothing is making sense here. He also had the nerve to say we should be honored to be working here. Why did we have to go and get a second job? I want you all to know the confidence in which I am speaking this story. I wish I had it in that meeting, because I was not standing up for myself like how I should have. Because, excuse you, how dare you even question why I have a second job? Because essentially, you're asking me about my money, and how dare you question my pockets? You don't know my life. You don't know me. How wonderful it is, sir. How much privilege do you have that you would not understand why someone like me would need a second job? I love that for you, sir. We were not the only employees with second jobs. And I'm not talking about the J1s. I'm talking about the actual American citizens that were working there. So we were not the only people a part of that organization that had second jobs, but somehow we were being brought in a meeting about it. I'm not going to disclose all my personal information, but I have a very serious medical condition. You know what that means? Medical bills, very expensive expensive medical bills. So I don't think I need to come and explain, my financial situation to anyone and answer as to why I would need a second job because, common sense. He's going to say that's not what we're here for on the program. Obviously, we know that, but let's not also act like J1 students aren't humans. It would be stupid of us to pay to come on this program and not try our best to work back the money that we paid to come here. I would like us all to be real. What also made me upset was that he said we should be here for the experience and not the money. Is this the experience that you need me to be here for, sir? To be sitting across from you? For you to be speaking to me in such a manner? To be lied on? Is this experience that I came here for? Let me tell you guys, I had the best experiences with people from the different departments, the interpreters, the archaeologists. I had the best experiences with them. They taught me how to play cornhole. They taught me how to do s'mores. They took me to the beach. They offered to take us to Walmart and, show us different cities. I had the experiences that I was supposed to have. This, sir, that's happening between you and I, that is definitely not what I came here for. And he says to us, do you know that I could cut you from getting a second job? When I heard that, I could tell clearly this is a man that is off a power trip and you want to exercise that power between you and I because you know that in this situation there is a power imbalance. He would not let us speak at all. He would not give us any chance to defend ourselves. It was almost like, he was talking over us and then he basically threatens to send us back home. But the manner in which he said it, it's as if in his head Jamaica is any less than place to be. Like, sir, that is my home. That by the grace of God, I have food, clothing, and shelter. I hope you are picking up what I'm putting down by the way in which he said it. It's kind of like you have to go to a little country. And all of this is happening. I was crying. I was crying and I was bawling my eyes out. Ever since I was a child, I do not like people speaking to me a certain way, especially situations like this where I feel like I am being oppressed. That's literally what it felt like. It was almost suffocating. So I really could not process everything that was happening. I was in disbelief. I was confused. All I could do was cry, and cry. I was trying so hard to be strong for my sister and I, you guys. I am older. I am my sister's keeper, her protector. But all I could do was cry. He finally decided that he was going to call them, Remy and Puss, to come into the room. And we're like, yes, please, get them in here. We need to have a conversation because these things are not adding up. No, I am not going to play the full recording, but I am going to put a piece of that recording in here. It's coming up next. So I want you all to listen so that you can hear for yourselves that I am not making any of this up. This is actually what happened. And these are the things that this man, the big bad wolf, said to me.
Maybe that's why your personalities aren't very sharp and bright.
When last have we
They have told me. Who do you think told me this stuff? You guys keep saying ass. Who do you think told me this?
But we're confused because they're congratulating us.
I wouldn't be confused.
They're telling us you're doing a good job.
Who told you that? I'll take care of it.
Right,
You're damn right I'm gonna right now.
Please.
I'm gonna call in here right now. She sits right here. I want to hear both of you guys say. You say that we're doing a great job on what's talking about.
One there on the floor with us.
Yeah,
can you call?
Right here.
Yes, please. Thank you.
And if that isn't what they say,
okay.
If they don't say you guys are doing a great job, if they say what they just told me to call me over here from the island, I'm really gonna have an issue.
But you're telling us something.
Then I'm really gonna have an issue. I didn't care for you guys' personality in the orientation. You weren't very productive during that whole day. I watched you all day long.
Productive?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
How were we not productive?
You didn't pay attention. You were wandering off on your own. You wandered off 2 different times. I watched every single employee here.
You guys are the one who told us that we can look
No.
around. One, we were late because
Alright.
I said
Do
I was.
you want to be right? Do you want to be right?
Oh my days.
No, not all your days. You'll be right back in Jamaica being right. I don't care. I have 130 other employees. I'm not going to spend all summer listening to you two think you're right. Because you're not. So you got this attitude that you guys are something. Well, you go be something somewhere else. I'm just fine. I'll replace both of your jobs tomorrow. And you can take whatever attitude you got and walk on off with it. You can say, boy, that Mackinac State Historic Park's a terrible place. I never want to be there. And you know what? We don't care. You two's thoughts of us right now, I'm not really that interested in. You got bad attitudes. And I don't know why. I don't know who you think you are. I don't know what you've proven to us, that you're so wonderful. So I'm going to go call these folks in here, and we're going to sit here, and we're going to find out if we can salvage you for 2 months.
Thank you.
Because if we can't, I'll be calling CIEE tomorrow. And I'll be talking to your sponsor, and I'll be telling them I can't use them. And where do you think you're going to go then?
Home?
Yeah. And you don't care.
You're telling us that we're going home.
You don't seem to care. You don't seem to be
That's
going,
why I told
how
you
can
to
we
go.
do better?
But that's what I'm asking you.
No, you're telling me I'm not doing anything wrong. Yes, you are.
That's not what she's saying.
I said, can
That's
you
exactly what she
specify?
said. You don't tell me what I'm
I
hearing.
said, can you specify
Don't tell me what I'm
to
hearing.
me what exactly
I can
everybody
hear
is
all by
saying
on
to
my
you?
own. Yeah, I'm talking over here right now. Have some respect.
Sorry.
I know what I hear. You don't have to tell me what I hear. All right, Lala? We're going to get him in here right now. You two are going to find out real quick that you ain't running the show around here.
Understood.
Yeah. I run the show around here.
Because of how much I was crying, I had to excuse myself. So I said, excuse me, and I went to the restroom and I went into the bathroom, you guys. And I was crying more and more and more. I was just crying. At that point, my sister is in the room and Remy and Puss, they finally came to the meeting. He's, for some reason, standing outside the bathroom door waiting for me because honestly, I was not physically, mentally, emotionally, no type of alley up to go back into that boardroom. But I still came out to the bathroom. So I came out and I saw him there and he walked back with me to the boardroom. And you could tell that his behavior before was definitely off because he now appeared to be calm. He was speaking in a softer voice, a softer tone. In my opinion, he is also very egotistical because when Remy and Puss came into the room, I mean, you guys would think that this man would actually listen to what they had to say so that we all could have a conversation and have some sort of understanding. This man took up his things and he left. He left the meeting. So everything that they had to say afterwards, he did not hear any of it. At this point, my sister was also crying. So we're both in this boardroom crying our eyes out and we're sitting across from these two women. So we let them know that he just spoke to us in a very disgraceful way and he was saying all sorts of things and we are confused and we would like to know what is happening. Let them know are going to tell us we are sorry that he spoke to you guys that way. That's not what we told him to talk to you guys about. Remember, I said he told us that they called him, told him these things and tell him to speak to us. So why are you now sitting in front of us telling us that is not what you told him? You can understand then why we are confused, right? Then why are we here? Why are we here then? Nothing is making sense. Now it's time to apparently clear the air. Puss is going to say to me, well, she was concerned about me because the only person that I talk to is my sister, which is a lie. At this point, I was like, okay, we're being targeted because something is not right here. So I said, of course I am going to speak to my sister. This is my blood sister. We grew up together. This is how we were raised. And as a matter of fact, last time I checked, we came from the same womb. Why would you expect the bond and relationship I have with my sister that I would have with any one of you? Please make it make sense. I also had to say to her, I am introverted, so I am not going to speak and have conversations like you all do, but that does not mean there's an issue with me or I have an issue with anybody. She is going to say to me, oh, the reason why she was concerned is because she was wondering if anybody did anything to me. I'm not gonna lie, you guys, I was crying, but hearing that, I was pissed off. I was pissed off, and I wish I had the courage, once again, to stand up for myself and to really, really give it to these people. Because, lady, don't you dare sit across from me and tell me, oh, you were concerned. Because if you truly were concerned, you could have pulled me one side and had a conversation with me multiple times. You guys heard how many times I mentioned her name throughout this story? And once again, we had a staff meeting that very same morning and nobody said anything to me. So how dare you use the word concern to say you were wondering if anybody did anything to me? Like, do you think I am stupid? How can you say you have a concern for somebody and do something like that? That makes no sense. And it's so crazy for you all to come up with such an assumption in your head because one, I do talk to people, but because I interact differently, I'm sitting here in an office crying and going through all of this. Looking back at this specific situation, it is honestly just a projection of the low self-esteem of the employees in this organization. And the reason why I say this is because if you know that you didn't do anything to me, you're assuming for whatever reason something is wrong. Why would you assume that, like, what is going on deep within the mind for you to even come to that assumption, to like make it about yourself, kind of like something there is not adding up. And I know that this is true because I had a situation with beer. No, I think it was probably like for 2 or 3 times I asked my sister if we could switch shifts. I'm not going to say why I asked, it's a very personal reason, but I did, right? I asked her. Bear, that's the male employee, he's going to come over to me one day and says, why doesn't your sister like me? Why doesn't she want to work with me? So I'm like, what? He said, yeah, because like she keeps switching, da 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 da. You guys, I honestly could not believe he asked me that question. So I said, what? I said, I am the one that asked her to switch. So he sees that and he's making it about himself. But once again, I think that means that something is wrong up here. I've worked in other organizations, other workplaces, and people have switched their shifts before, and never once have I made it about myself. Oh, that means she must not want to work with me. If somebody switch them shift, that obviously means that them have something to do with the time. Like, like I don't know. Isn't that the first thing that someone should think? Why would you make it about yourself? So when she mentioned that to me in the meeting, no, everything started to make sense that it wasn't me, it's you. I am actually going to play this part of the recording on camera. So listen up because I want to come in and speak about certain things as I am playing it.
For you guys to get on the same page. All right? All right. So apparently they're a little confused as to their performance. When they're on the job, they both think that they're being super nice and they're doing a great job and they're taking care of.
So this is the big bad wolf. And if you can tell the difference from the first recording and this one, he actually calmed down, as I mentioned. And right now he is speaking to Remy and Puss. I was in the bathroom at this time.
He's saying that that's not what you guys are telling him. You guys are telling him that we are always late. That's what just said. That's what just.
Okay. I have seen a huge improvement. You guys, I haven't seen the same problem.
He is also saying that we are.
You all just heard it for yourself. I think another important part, she was almost too far away, so you did not hear, but she was laughing because she's saying, oh, that's not what we said. So now what you're telling me is that the big bad wolf is lying because he said you said, but no, you're saying that's not what you said. So it's just everybody he said, she said, and Chinese telephone and a whole bunch of crap. And you heard them laughing about it. And you literally just heard her say, we have seen huge improvements. Okay, you heard it for yourself. So if that is the case, why are we in this meeting with this man telling us that we are being late? Why are we in this meeting with this man accusing us of things that we are not doing, of lies?
I'm sorry that he talked to you guys that way. That's not the intent. Part of the issue, part of the thing that I asked him to talk to you guys about was to find out what was going on and how you guys were handling working here and being a part of Mackinac State Historic Parks.
In this part of the recording, you can hear her apologizing, saying, oh, she's sorry that he spoke to us that way. And she actually says what she told him to talk to us about. Well, that is not what he said, and that is not what he did. So obviously, between the three of you, somebody is lying.
I really can't talk right now because I feel like I can't breathe and I have asthma.
I asked the question. So, Kayla, when you first got here, I noticed that you seemed like you were eager and excited, that you were happy to be here, happy to learn. But now it's like you don't want to make eye contact with anybody, you don't want to talk to anybody. What happened? I can tell you closed off. I can tell that you're maybe, my impression, I don't see you as being disrespectful. I see you as being closed off and maybe disengaged. Maybe that you kind of, that's where I'm kind of seeing from you. And I would like to know, is there something specific that happened that made it so that you felt like you're not going to talk to your coworkers, you're not laughing and joking? The only person I ever see you laugh and joke with is your sister. I don't see you interacting with your coworkers. I don't feel like you're happy here. I don't feel like that you like your job at all. Like you're just here to be here. I mean, you were working with me earlier today and I feel like you did a good job. I was very pleased. I felt like we worked well together. But I need to know.
Can I stop you there?
What has happened to you?
If you are coming, oh Lolly, you're doing a great job, and then HR is telling us that you guys are telling him that.
I didn't know he was going to talk to you about tardiness because from what I saw, we had that conversation. I agree. We had that conversation and I have seen so much improvement. You have not, other than that one day, but that was a shift schedule that got mixed up. So I didn't know he was going to talk to you about that. And as far as the way you treat customers, I would not have picked that one either. I don't see you guys as ignoring customers or being disrespectful. I see you helping the customers. The one concern I had was something wrong between you and your coworkers? Because you guys are more engaged with your customers than you are with your coworkers. And I thought there was a problem there. But nobody was speaking up other than them saying that you look away, you won't talk to them, you won't.
You hear that for yourselves? That it wasn't us, that these people are actually saying these things out of their own mouths? I honestly did not appreciate her saying that and her asking, would you be comfortable talking to this person? Would you be comfortable talking to that person? Lady, I am not a child and I am at work. It was almost insulting. Like, I don't have an issue. Why would I be uncomfortable? I'm uncomfortable with certain things that are happening, like, for example, this meeting and the one previously.
He's like, why you guys have second jobs? What? Shut.
I don't know why. I don't know why God did that either. Nothing's ever been. You guys, you're right, Sheila. You're right. You did ask about getting second jobs, and we said yes.
And you even mentioned it when you picked us up from the airport. You said, "Oh, doesn't care if you have a second job. We'll try to work with you guys." That's literally what you said when you got us from the airport. So I don't understand why he shouted and was behaving. How he was behaving. We're telling him oh, we're confused right now. And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, God. And he called it let. So everyone is leaving when everyone needs to be present when things are being said, because he's saying one person, he's saying one thing, one is saying another. It's very confusing.
My sister is the one actually speaking in most of these clips because I'm crying, and at this point I'm silent. I don't have much to say. I did speak to them a bit, but I was so over the situation. What more could we do? You guys have heard these recordings for yourself. I would love to know in the comments. Please tell me what you would have done in that situation and how you would have responded to it, because to this day it still does not make sense. In that last piece of the recording, once again, she's laughing, saying she doesn't know why he brought up the second job because we are right. They did tell us that, it was okay. So, funny enough, I believe the big bad wolf because he does not work with us at all. The only way he would know these things or accuse us of these things is if they truly did tell him that. But two things can be true at once. So if they are denying these things, I can only assume that he exaggerated what they said, which makes the situation worse because what you're telling me is that you are untrustworthy. I can't trust any of you guys. You are lying. It just left us in such disbelief because I'm telling you, these people seemed so nice. Plus, she also offered to take us to Walmart. Remy, in the break room, she would just come and leave free food or whatever, anybody can take what they want. So baffling how someone could appear one way and then be different the next. I know this is a very long story time, but I just want you all to know that my sister and I experienced this for months. So me retelling it is nothing compared to actually living it. We were honestly so distraught after this whole situation, and especially the same day after it happened, I was an emotional wreck. You guys, I probably cried for the whole entire week. My sister was off the day after the meeting. I was supposed to work. I had to call in because I was crying all night. My eyes were swollen. My face was red and puffy, and I had a terrible headache. We all know what happens when you spend the whole night crying. So after we tried to get some sleep the next morning, later on in the day, we actually decided, listen, I don't think this workplace is going to be it for us because it's clear these people are creating issues with us out of thin air and it's uncomfortable. The workplace is now uncomfortable and honestly, it felt like we were going to have to walk on eggshells. The way how it felt like our backs were pushed against the wall, we actually went out trying to find a job that could replace this one, a job that was going to offer housing. Unfortunately, we weren't finding many good options. So when we got back to the apartment, I told my sister, you know what? I'm going to call CIEE. I mean, they are our sponsors. Let me just say this. I already knew they were not going to help us. I did not know this previously, but apparently you can't just switch a job on your own. You have to be approved for it. Anything could possibly happen why I would need to switch my job. Why would that not be my decision to make? And I figured they do it because they are trying to maintain their relationship with the employer. Okay, fine, business is business, but also I think as our sponsors, you should be advocating for the students. We should be given the priority. I don't know. That's just what I think, but apparently it does not work like that. So I called them, not expecting much, but still hopeful about the situation. So I called and I told her what happened. I told her that we were uncomfortable, how we felt, we would like to be placed somewhere else. And all she said to me was, okay, they're going to get in contact with the employer to find out what happened. Probably the week that followed, the only follow-up I got on the situation was an email saying they spoke to the employer and they want to speak to me about the status of my program. I should contact them. And that same email also said, we were informed about a second job that is not approved. Please get in contact with us. This could lead to a termination of the program. I saw that email and I honestly laughed because how did it come up if it's not a problem. And to make matters worse, I was not hiding from CIEE, as in I wasn't hiding my job. How you report the second job is you fill out the surveys. When you fill out like the monthly check-ins or whatever, they ask if you have a second job that you need to report. You click yes or no. When you click yes, it gives you a number and tells you to call them. But at the time when all this was happening, the new survey wasn't out yet. I knew nothing was going to be done about the situation, but they said to call them. So I called them. Loves, to this day, it is January 2026. I have not heard back from CIEE. In fact, that phone rang. Nobody answered the phone. It says to click 1 for a call back. To this day, I have received no call back. So at that moment, we just decided, hey, we are on our own, but guess what? They didn't fire us, so all we can do is just keep our head held high, finish our time here, and go home. The next main issue that I want to speak about is the award ceremony. When they are hosting events, they will post it on the notice board. Probably they will have a sign-up sheet or an RSVP sheet where you put your name on it if you're planning to go. For all the employees that would have been awarded, they would know before they got to the award because there is a nomination period and it is announced, hey, you're nominated for an award. That afternoon, I actually was not going to go to the award ceremony, but then I was not doing anything and I was just home. So I said, you know what? Okay, fine. I will go. In that moment, I honestly experienced what people would speak about when they say God wanted me to be here. When I went to that award ceremony, in my opinion, I was just very simply, I literally wore a long black dress and my sneakers, right? But if you know Americans, when it comes to certain functions, they're not really a dressy type of crowd. So when I got there, immediately I felt eyes on me. It's almost like I stood out without wanting to, but I did. I think I am here for a reason. I did not know what it was at that time yet. All the employees that I knew were sitting up in the front, and I am not a walk in the front, especially in public type of girl. So I decided to sit in the back. I found a nice little bench. It was empty and I just sat there. After some time, Bear, he came to me and he sat beside me. He said, oh, the food is over there. I was going to go get some breadsticks. So as I stood up, I basically ran into Puss and she saw me and she complimented me. She said, wow, you look so beautiful. And I said, thank you. But there was something about the look in her eye. I did not know what it was, but I felt it. It almost felt like there was just something not being said. I took the compliment, I said thank you, and I went over to get my breadsticks, and I came back and I sat down. The award ceremony started. They started, calling the employees, calling out the awards and everything. There was one specific award that caught my eye though. The award was for the GSR team helping to open the store, doing all the cleaning. So quickly the thought just came to my mind. I was like, whoa, I am a part of that team and I helped to fix the store. But it was just so quick and that was it. Because like I said, I knew I was not getting an award. Thought came into my mind and it left in the same second. The ceremony has ended at this point and I'm sitting beside the J1 student from China because we were planning to ride back to the apartments together. As we get up to go and collect our mugs, Puss, she comes over to me and she starts apologizing. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. So I looked at her like, what is going on? What are you apologizing for? She is going to look at me and tell me, oh, you were supposed to get an award, but it's because of what happened with the big bad wolf. I knew what she was referring to. So I said, what do you mean? And so she said, yeah, it's everything that happened in the meeting. So I just said, oh, okay. Because I do not know what else she wanted me to say. And honestly, that look that I was referring to earlier in her eyes when she said that, obviously it made sense. All that I can say is something deep within her would not let her be comfortable. And maybe that was God, because I think that whole situation is so weird. She then starts praising me, saying, yeah, I deserve it. I do such a good job. I put out the most effort. I'm always helpful. I do this well, da 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 da. And she's like going off. And I kept saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because once again, what else do you want me to say? And also, a part of me was saying, lady, you should know that I don't trust anything that comes out of your mouth. Since what happened in that meeting, I obviously cannot trust you guys because you will literally say this to my face and then to someone else, you will say something differently. Honestly, if they really did not give me the award because of what happened, that is such an unkind thing to do. Because you guys, I put out the work in that store. That specific week, I was not scheduled to work in the visitor center. But they asked me. I actually said, yes, I will help. And you guys, I went over to that store. I think it was 3 or 4 days out of the week. I unpacked so many boxes of t-shirts and sweatshirts. I was folding, I was putting up on hangers. You guys, I was put to work. Plenty boxes. And then in the storeroom, I was folding and putting up and organizing. I did so much work. And one of those days in the week, my sister actually came with me and we also did work in the store. She posted a video about that on her TikTok. They had us outside using this duster blower thing on the Christmas tree. We packed up all the cards under the counters. We actually restocked like a whole shelf. I did the work to fix that store, just like all of the employees that got awarded. That situation was my last straw. I was honestly so over it. I was overworking there. I was over the people. I was honestly just over everything. I literally used to take the calendar and physically mark down the days until it was time for me to leave. It's one of the things that kept me sane. My morning devotions during this time, it was so important because when I tell you, I literally would not have made it. I would not have survived without God. Every single day I woke up, I had to go to work with the intention to act like Jesus, to speak like Jesus, to remember what would Jesus do. I am so thankful and so grateful that I was there with my sister because we were such a huge support system for each other. I think if I was there by myself and I experienced all of that, I probably would have left. We did come across very wonderful people who actually helped us along the way. Even though everything was going on, I tried my best to enjoy my summer. The story time is coming to an end. I want to say this is just my story. My sister has her own story. It's possible that the other J1s might have their own stories, their own experiences working there. There is still so much I want to say, still so much that I could say, but I think I've already said enough, and this should be enough for you all to understand what my experience was like working at Mackinac State Historic Parks. I am now closing the chapter on this situation. Like I said, this story time was long overdue, so I am so happy that I was finally able to share and tell my story. This is the end of the video. I want to say thank you all so much for watching, especially those of you that made it to the end, because this probably will be a long video. I'm not really sure if this was anything to enjoy, but maybe some way, somehow you found some enjoyment in it. So I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I am on the road to 500 subscribers. So if you can, please just hit that button. See you later.